Across Massachusetts and throughout the nation, women and gender expansive folks, especially Black, Indigenous, Asian, Latinx, Middle Eastern, multiracial, and other women and gender expansive people are driving change. We said we're driving change.
Today we're joined by Dr. Laurie Nsiah-Jefferson, the Director for the Center for Women in Politics and Public Policy at UMass Boston and Graduate Program Director for the Gender Leadership and Public Policy Graduate Certificate Program, to discuss the CWPPP at UMass Boston and how their groundbreaking research and programming is uplifting women across the Commonwealth. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Nsiah-Jefferson.
You're so welcome. I'm always excited about sharing information and news related to the Center for Women in Politics and Public Policy. And we can now just say CWPPP to make it easier for all of us.
Yes, just make it easier for the whole across the board. That sounds good to me.
Yeah,
it's such an important subject and subject of research. So tell me about what the core mission of the center is and what are the main pillars of the work that you guys do?
So it's really, really interesting. So I want to start with a little bit of history, only because we need to ground it that way.
Totally.
So in 1994, with the support of the Massachusetts Caucus of Women Legislators, the Center for Women in Politics and Public Policy, again, CWPP, was established at UMass Boston. And this is our mission, and really, really very, very proud of our mission. We aim to promote diverse women's leadership to achieve, and this is what I think is the most important, a more just, equitable, and responsive public and institutional policy. So we want to achieve more just, equitable, and responsive public and institutional policies. And another big word, meaningful inclusion. And we do that through a number of programs within the CWPP. We have a Gender Leadership and Public Policy Certificate Program that you mentioned a few minutes ago. And we also have a MPA program that, again, focuses on gender leadership and public policy. So students can actually take advantage of our 18-credit one-year program, or they can go for 2 years, or really 18 months, and they can earn a MPA.
Cool.
We also have what I think is really exciting as well, is we have a new leadership summer undergraduate program. And here we train high school graduates and college students about policy and politics. And we do that because we want them to be able to ground themselves as leaders early on. And they don't even have to be political leaders, but we want them to understand what leadership is all about. We also have a new program. It's called the Women of Color Leadership Cafe.
Wow.
Don't you love that title, Leadership Cafe?
Yeah, Leadership
Sounds
Cafe.
really
Tell me about that.
And so this particular program is a program that is designed for BIPOC women, students. And they explore leadership, wellness, and they are in a community that is supportive of them. We conceptualize this program for graduate students, but the undergraduates are saying, well, what about us? Can't we participate in the program? And there were even some staff at UMass Boston who were saying, can't we have this program as well? But
everybody wanted to get in on that, right? I mean, it's such a great idea.
And what's really special and unique about this program is that because it's for BIPOC women, it addresses persistent racialized stress and isolation and burnout that can be experienced by women of color students. And then what you probably have heard a lot about in reference to the center is that we do a lot of applied research.
Right.
Intersectional policy analysis. And we also do public convenings, and we have a Distinguished Public Service Fellows program.
We first saw you on BNN featured as a soundbite in the package about women in Boston striving for a more equitable city at a public convening that was sponsored by and organized in collaboration with a few organizations, including the CWPPP. And can you just tell us a little bit about that event and why it's important to gather for these purposes?
Oh, yeah. We have been doing what we call the New England Women's Policy Conference since 2014, and we did it every 2 years. And that was really successful. We brought women from across the New England states to really address common challenges that women are facing in these states. But this year, I decided, let's do something different. Let's kind of mix it up. And, as a woman of color, I've always been extremely passionate about women of color and what we need as leaders and what we just need as people and how we can advance equity for all of us. So one of the things we said was across Massachusetts and throughout the nation, women and gender expansive folks, especially Black, Indigenous, Asian, Latinx, Middle Eastern, multiracial, and other women and gender expansive people are driving change. We said we're driving change. Women of color, especially Black and brown women, are carrying the disproportionate weight of toxic federal policies, DEI rollbacks, anti-immigration actions, and chronic disinvestment in our communities. And given all that, our leadership has never been more essential. But this is what we wanted to stress. Yet, even with our power and our impact, we remain, and this is really important to hold on to, we remain too often under recognized, under resourced, and undervalued. I want to say that again. We remain too often under recognized, under resourced, and undervalued.
Yeah. There was that study that came out that less than 0.5% of nonprofits in Boston are dedicated to women and girls of color. And when I saw that, and the CWPPP did some of the research for that, when I saw that, my jaw dropped.
It's ridiculous. What we're finding is that nonprofits serving women and girls, just women and girls in general, it's 3.3%. And we want to think about the nonprofit revenue to women and girls is only 1%. I'm saying generally women and girls. I haven't got to women and girls of color yet.
Right.
If you look at nonprofits serving women and girls of color, we're talking about 0.2%. Okay? That's insane, but it gets worse. Nonprofit revenue to women and girls of color is 0.05%.
Wow. I mean, that's just
I mean,
depressing.
that's so infinitesimal, right?
Yeah.
And what is a killer? When we look at the total, 60% of the total revenue to women and girls goes to just 5 organizations. And most of them, we're talking about, women's private colleges. We're talking about, elite girls' schools. We're really talking about these particular organizations that are getting 60% of the money that is going to women and girls is really in no way geared to women and girls of color.
Right. They're excluded from that.
Yeah. Interestingly, in terms of this particular study, those are the statistics. Those are some important statistics to show how under-resourced these particular organizations are that are serving women and girls of color, but are also led by women and of women of color. But there was there was a whole backstory as well. We wanted to do what we call mixed methods research. We wanted to hear the stories and we wanted to also highlight those numbers and the data that you just heard. And we wanted to do this. We did this BWF did it in collaboration with us. And it was the first ever study to map the grassroots ecosystem for women of girls of color in Greater Boston and highlighted not only how philanthropy could better resource Boston-based BIPOC women and girls and gender expansive people, but this is what I think was really important, but how systematic flaws impact grassroots organizations and their BIPOC women and gender expansive leaders. So one of the things we know is that chronic underfunding impacts the physical. This is what's important, the physical and mental health of BIPOC grassroots leaders and their organizational sustainability. One of the things that we found out was that they experienced burnout and other health issues due to overworking to fill gaps caused by persistent underfunding. Like, everybody knows. And we're working too hard and too much in a situation where women and girls of color in Massachusetts and in Greater Boston particularly need so much because of the inequities around education, healthcare, career training and development, all of these things. So you're dealing with people who have massive inequities, groups that have massive inequities, and you have underfunding for massive challenges.
So, Dr. Laurie, can you tell viewers where they can learn more about CWPPP?
You can go to the UMass website and you will find the Center for Women in Politics and Public Policy, and it will take you to our URL.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about these incredibly important issues and, researching how we can find solutions, researching, so we can know more is so incredibly important, especially during a time like this. So thank you so much, Dr. Laurie.
You are welcome. Thank you.